Hello and welcome to another special and fascinating episode of Dynamic Divas, where we share incredible stories of women making waves in the field of technology. I'm Rachit, your host for the show. Today, I have pleasure of hosting a truly extraordinary guest, Elif Item, joining us from Texas, US. Uh, Elif lives in Dallas and she is very active in the local Dynamics 365 community. She is also recognized as Microsoft's most valuable professional in AI, ERP, or finance and operations space. There are very few of us, Elif, I think around 30 people worldwide. So it's such a great honor for you to be a part of that group. Really appreciate
Thank
your
you.
contributions. And you have also and you have also won legendary award at NS Summit last year. So Elif, it's a great honor for me to welcome you to our show. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. I appreciate the invitation. And when you told me about this, I was honored and very excited to be a part of it. Yeah, it's good to meet you sort of through face to face. We MVPs, we text each other all the time, but maybe don't get to see each other as much. This is a great opportunity.
Likewise for me as well. And Elif, you carry over 25 years of experience and you have been in the role of consultant, project management, director, and then you started your own company, Item by Item, almost 7, 8 years back. So you have been through a lot of journey, a lot of experience in the industry, and there is so much to learn from your experiences and your learnings which you have gained over the decade. So can we start with how did you started your journey in the field of technology and Dynamics 365? If you can share with us about your journey, that would be really good.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I do have a little bit of an unusual start because a lot of the people in the D365 space, they come from that STEM background. But I actually studied business in college. Then after I moved to United States, I got my MBA. And then I worked for different companies working on different types of ERPs, not D365 at the time. I worked as a sort of a business analyst. I worked for a company in Dallas as actually a trainer. And that's when I really found my passion about teaching. I knew that long term I was going to do something related to training. But then interesting thing happened. A lot of the you're going to be interviewing lots of women, and you'll see the same sort of balancing act. And I ended up during my career around that time, I ended up having two kids back to back, and they were both very young and home. And I decided to stay home a little bit and take a couple of years off, especially when my daughter was born. But after sort of 6 months, it was, not very fun because I worked all my life and it was not really that much interesting for me to, I mean, having a baby is great. I adore her and everything, but I think I was looking for something a little bit more intellectually stimulating, and my husband was involved in, just AX, this thing called AX. And he was like, why don't you just learn this product while you're at home? And then maybe like when you're ready, what you can do something about it. And this is a time of AX 2.5 where you could get a disc of AX, and I got the manuals printed at Kinko's, which does not exist anymore. And I installed AX, and I just sort of like started to go through the product when I had some time, look at the manuals. And then I think after a couple of months, I was brave enough to take the one of the certification exams, and soon I had like 5 certifications, and still, I did not really have a job. Like I was just basically just studying during that period. And during that period, I had another baby, and but then you know how it is, like life sort of brings you, I think when you put yourself out there and learn something new, life brings you opportunities. And I had already worked for a consulting company before, like as a contractor for some other training things, and they approached me and they're like, do you want to, there are some local customers in Dallas area, do you want to try consulting on AX? And I told them, I'm like, as long as you tell the customer that I have consulting experience, but I don't have AX consulting experience. And as long as we're honest with them and they understand my background, and the customer didn't care. And that's how sort of my consulting career in AX started. From there, I moved into a permanent role. Then from there, I became a project manager and a director. But it's a little joke in our family that, or sometimes when I tell this story to other consultants, they're like, "Oh yeah, she just learned AX like while she was staying at home," but but it was a lot of fun. I like to learn anyways, but it was, I never thought that my career would come here. But I think if you put yourself out there, opportunities are great.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Elif, because I can imagine it would not have been an easy task to learn a new product while you are on maternity leaves. And thanks to your husband for giving you this idea and bringing you into the Dynamics community. And it's so much transformational for you, and it's helping a lot of people worldwide. So I think what you just said has a lot of depth in it. Like while on break, even while you were self-learning and you were preparing yourself for the future, you had that passion and interest to learn and develop your skills and take them to the next level. And then you got an opportunity and you just nailed it and you made the most out of it. It's so impressive and so inspiring. I'm sure it will help a lot of people who might be in similar situations, and by listening to your story they will definitely get
Yeah.
inspired.
I hope so. I think there's a lot of fear around technology. I always, when I talk to, I have a daughter myself. When I talk to her and other young women, I am trying to explain to them that not every technology job has to be code writing. And I think there is this sense that's built in the technology world. Oh, if you want to work in technology, you have to be this type of person, this type of skill set, this type of degree. But there's sort of room for everyone. Like, I was never a technical person. I was great at understanding requirements from the customers. I was very functional, and I was also really good at organizing things. And that really just helped me become a project manager. So I always tell the young generation, or even someone who is considering making a career change, is to be not to be super fearful of the word technology, and that I'm not that. I hear this a lot where people say I'm not very technical, and you don't have to be very technical to have a technology job. You can be still a part of the ecosystem, and I'm sure that you'll find a lot this when you're interviewing people. There is room sort of for everybody, and we can fill those roles without having to be super technical. I think women sort of have some of these characteristics. I don't want to be sort of like sexist, quote, but we're intuitive, we're organized. We can really relate to people. We're empathetic. Those sort of skills can really help in communicating with a new user community and building trust with the customer. So I think we just need to put aside those fears related to technology and more focus on the things we can do, and how we can make a difference in different customers' processes.
Right. It's great to hear your perspective on that, because I also resonate the same feelings. Like when I talk to younger generation people or even my nephews, I try to explain them that tech companies are not only writing code. There is so much, and as you said, the ecosystem is so big and so wide. There is a
Yes.
place for everyone, and once you get into it, you can explore different options. You start, like for example, you started as a consultant, then you move to project management, and that won't happen in one day, but you explored your interest, you were able to identify an opportunity, and you worked towards that, and you got into that space. So
Yes.
definitely it makes a lot of sense. So what were the key drivers to launch Item by Item? Tell us something about when you moved from
Yes.
your director role. You were in a good job, like it's a good position to be into, and it's not easy to leave such positions and start something of your own. So tell us something
Yes.
about that side of your journey. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because it seems like it's going to sound like all of my career decisions were a little bit related to my kids, but it had, I think, a little bit of a stem from that also, because I was telling some other people that I'm sort of an accidental entrepreneur, because some people sort of want to be entrepreneurs all their lives. They get into a career, and there's always this desire in the back of their mind is like, I want to have my own business one day. I want to be on my own boss. Honestly, I just never had that. Like it's sort of interesting. And I had a great job. Like, I was very happy with the company that I worked for. I loved everybody, like that worked for me. It was a great environment. But again, sort of like you go through this life cycle. I think it's important to understand career is one thing, but also aside your career, your personal life is sort of going on. My kids sort of grew up. They were in that middle school age. My husband was traveling super extensively, and then we decided as a family, it was important for one of us to be at home, because my job required me to travel a lot, and his also. So it was sort of, I decided that I'm just going to take some time off and again be home with the kids. And that's when sort of, I think this happens to me a lot, that I have these ideals that I'm going to be able to stay home and not do anything. But then a little bit later, I almost cannot, accomplish that. And what how item by item came about is sort of a understanding of the need in the market for many years. When I was a project manager myself, I always thought that, oh, if there was a tool like this, I would love my customers to use it. It would just help my project so much. And there wasn't a tool like that. So when the time came in for me to think about, well, maybe I can do something without having to travel. I can build some content and an online platform. I can be still valuable to the community without having to, travel from Monday through Thursday every week and away from home. And honestly, I remember the exact conversation I had with my husband out on a walk. And I told him that I am going to give it a try for a year. And that's how sort of it started. It wasn't like I'm going to just, this is going to happen, I'm going to be super successful. And I think I gave myself a little bit of grace, and that sort of took the pressure off. And I said, I'm going to give it a try a year. If it does great, good, we're going to go. If it doesn't, then I would never say I never tried. And that was 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago. So it was, in during this time, COVID happened, a bunch of different things that really changed the landscape of learning, landscape of online training. And I'm just so glad I did it, because it opened me to really push myself in other areas other than just consulting. Because until then, I never did sales, I never did marketing. I was really focused on just delivering solutions to customers. But when you have your own business, you have to wear multiple hats. And it's been just a wonderful, great journey that allowed me to also meet some great people. So it's it's sort of like I said at the beginning, not necessarily with a particular purpose, but we figured things out as I went through, I guess.
As a human, Aleph, you have touched the really emotional side. Like, the things which you have told are really things which goes in back of people's mind every day. I meet a lot of people who are in industry for last 18, 20 years, and there is something which holds them back from taking that next step. And your story will be inspiration to them, because you have taken that step, taken a risk. And like things like COVID, no one could have projected that this is going to hit, but you have to continue doing your efforts and putting in your energy towards your goals, and one day they become success. So there
Yes.
is always a risk. You take a calculative risk, you make a decision, and as you said, you discussed, you thought about it, you knew your passion, you knew that you can do and make an impact in the area of training, and you hold to that and created a niche product in that market. And it's really a great tool like item by item. I think it adds a lot of value for the organizations, not for probably the people who are, I mean, it creates a value for the implementation partners as well.
Yes.
But for the end users who are new to system and who want to know how do I do my day-to-day job, this is where your product adds a lot of value. Can you share with us
Sure.
some success stories, like how customers are using it? What's their feedback like? Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually it's been an interesting journey, because when I started the business, one of the other goals I had was that I wanted to create all the materials, so which required significant amount of an investment of my own time, because in the IBI platform, what we do is we've basically created these small videos, and each video we teach the learner a skill. Like in F&O, you have to look up inventory, you have to create sales orders, you have to create vendors. So each one of these different things that a user has to do is created as a video. And after we created those videos, we've combined them into learning paths based on people's roles and functions. So if you're a controller, these are the videos that you have to watch. If you're an inventory analyst, these are the things that you're going to watch. So what I was seeing when I was implementing D365, of course, partners provide a level of training to the people, especially at the beginning of the project. But majority of the time, the expectation is that that core team is also supposed to train everybody else, right? That's the whole idea, is that they're supposed to learn it and they're supposed to pass it along. But what's, I think, overlooked is those people have to also test. They have to also,
Do a
run
great job as
conference
well.
room pilots, run the
Yeah.
project, attend design sessions. So it's almost becomes an impossible task for those people to train everybody else, right? Then on top of it, you have these consultants, and their times are so valuable. They're again, testing, writing specs, doing all these things. For someone to maybe stop what they're doing and train somebody else for 2 hours, that's super valuable and expensive time. So I always thought that if we had something in the background that's readily available, if I want to just remind myself how to create a purchase order, I should be able to go watch that little video and be able to replicate that process in D365. And that's sort of like the original idea, how it started. And a lot of the customers are using it in that way, is to train that core team members and the other people that are joining to the project. We've been very successful with upgrades, because the customers that are going to be upgrading from an AX version to D365, because they're already familiar with AX. I mean, we can say that D365 changed a lot, but a lot of the nuts and bolts are still same. So if you already know AX, knowing D365 is not going to be, it's going to be challenging, but it's not going to be like starting from zero.
Yeah.
So it's just incredibly rewarding to hear from a customer a comment or an unsolicited email that you receive, that it just made a huge difference in their own implementation. And there's, of course, you're running a business, you want to make money, all of those elements, but I'm still a trainer at heart, and I'm just completely mind blown when customers just tell me that it has made a significant impact to the success of their projects.
That is such a great story to hear, Alif. Congratulations on the huge success of IBI platform.
Yes,
And
thank you.
you recently traveled to Australia. We missed meeting you, but make sure when you come next time, please do visit Melbourne, enjoy
I
some coffee.
know. We
There
we
is
talked about that. This time we did not, but I got to meet somebody else in Brisbane. So hopefully next time, if we do come next time, we'll get to meet. But you hopefully will join us in some of the conferences that we have in the US, and we'll get to meet then.
definitely.
Were you able to go to the MVP summit this year?
Yes, I was there at the MVP Summit in Seattle for a week. Yeah, it was just so busy, so crazy time there. But I really
Yes.
enjoyed meeting all the MVPs and getting more inspired by talking to them. Everyone was so down to earth, so accommodating and so welcoming. So it
Yes,
was really
we
great to meet
have
all
such
of
a
you.
great, yeah. I really like all the, we have a even smaller group in US, obviously, but even like you mentioned at the beginning, that we don't have a lot of F&O MEPs. So I want to call out to everybody out there who's listening that we want more applications. If you're interested to be nominated, we'd be happy to do that. Definitely, we need more representation on the F&O side, if anybody is interested in applying to become an MVP.
Thank you, Ali, for that. That will go a long way. You are also a board member of TechFluent.org. So tell us something about that platform.
Sure. So TechFluent is an organization that offers free training for people that are maybe they don't have the resources that are available to them, whether that's because where they lived or because of their background, or if they want to make a career change from something completely different. Let's say that you're a primary school teacher and you now want to move to technology. How do you do that? Or you've just recently immigrated to United States, and maybe you had a little bit of a different sort of job where you've immigrated from, and now you want to get into D365 and technology. And it's a great organization that every year selects a group of students, and these students go through a great set of training. They're also going to this year utilize IBI platform. They will go through some other virtual and in-person training. They're going to have mentors. They're going to have small set of meetings to learn about ERP, learn about D365, and ultimately the goal is to have them go through a certain Microsoft certification, and then at the end of their education is to be able to interview with different companies to get into D365 careers. The first goal set is not probably F&O. F&O is going to be a little bit of a deeper topic, as you know, that it takes a while to get expertise in it. But we're starting with more of that Power Platform, and then ultimately a small group of that student cohort we're also going to train them on F&O. I got introduced to this organization last year and asked to be a part of the board. I'm thrilled about it. Like I mentioned, training is where I am already, and I get to work with some great people who selflessly volunteer their times for this organization, and hopefully we will get a bigger group of students graduated. I'm also in the Dallas area trying to advertise this. Like I've already contacted some high schools, some community colleges to make sure that the kids who are interested can apply to be a part of the cohort. So definitely I encourage all the listeners, if you are a part of a community that you know that it's a struggle for them to find the resources, they should go to the website, and we can put it at the bottom of the meeting, and they can directly apply. The students can directly apply to the TechFluent cohort, and I think the applications deadline is mid-May, so they should hopefully be able to apply and see if they can be accepted to the program.
That is such a great initiative, Elif, and TechFluent is really going to make a big difference for these people. So, if you are interested, please log on to TechFluent website and register for the program and take it forward. Great. So, Elif, as we are coming towards the end of the journey, I want to hear from you something about the food culture in Turkey. I know you're from like Istanbul, Turkish, and
Yes.
tell us something about. Do you miss the food in
I do
Dallas?
miss the food. So it's interesting, actually. Turkish food, and I don't know. You can talk about your food culture. Probably it's similar. Is that what you eat at home is sort of different than what you eat sort of in the restaurant, right? So at home you cook the mom meals and everything like that. So I feel like I am decent at cooking those things because when you have kids and my kids were always interested in eating Turkish food. I think I miss more like the stuff that I wouldn't cook at home but eat like in a restaurant. And some
That's
great
right.
examples would be like different types of kebabs and and Turkish, there's like this special, really thin crust Turkish pizza called lahmacun, which is basically like a very thin crust that's smeared with like ground beef, onions, and parsley mixture, and then it gets baked and it's like gets rolled up a little bit like a tortilla, and then eaten that way. But I grew up in a city a little bit south of Istanbul, but I went to college in Istanbul. And what is fun about the cuisine in Turkey is because of the what's available, where different parts of Turkey can offer different types of cuisine. Like western part is very much similar to Greek food, while if you go to east part of Turkey and a little bit southeast, it's a lot more kebabs, lamb, and things like that. And if you go to the north, you have more fish. So you get to sort of experience all the different kinds. But
Now
it's a great place. I will tell you this. I do get a lot of requests. Like, this did not happen 3 years ago. In the last 2 years, I've gotten so many people contact me and say, I'm going to Istanbul for 3 days. What should I do? And I have a pre-written, like a agenda for a 3-day visit to Istanbul if anybody is interested. But I've been just thrilled to hear so many people going and visiting.
I would love to have that 3-day itinerary of Istanbul
Okay.
and maybe create an item by item for travelers.
Yes,
You
yes.
can
I think
follow those guides.
yes, Turkish Airlines is doing this thing. So if you're like sort of going by Istanbul to somewhere, I think
Yeah,
from like US, if you're going to India, if you go through Istanbul airport, they give you like you can stay 2 3 nights in Istanbul. They give you free hotel, and then you can just sort of continue this journey. So that's, I think, been very attractive to lots of travelers.
great. I am now looking forward to my visit to Istanbul, and I
Sounds
will
good.
definitely reach out to you to get that checklist.
Yes.
Uh, Great, Alif. It has been very inspiring and very insightful to hear your experiences. Any closing remarks? We are coming towards the end of the show.
No, I think maybe what I will say is just, I think a lot of young people feel sometimes, oh, like things are not so great how it used to be. I do still believe that if you are passionate about what you do and you put your sort of like heart into it, you can do really well in any sort of business. When I was a director, I used to have this conversation with the consultants a lot. And I think there's this notion that, oh, like, don't take it personal. Like, oh, like, don't take your job very seriously. And I don't believe that. I mean, I do take my job seriously, and I do take my job personally. Like, it's such a big part of my life, and it's such a big part of who I am. And I think if you take things personally, I mean, obviously, if you're criticized, things like that, you have to see that as a growth opportunity. But if you take things personally, you will always try to do better. And with that growth mindset, you don't have to worry about what you cannot do. You can just only worry about what you will do better tomorrow. So I think what I would recommend to all the young people who are interested in technology is to have that growth mindset, be positive, and take things seriously, and everything will be fine and fall into place.
Great. Thanks, Alif, for sharing those insights. I totally agree with what you just said. It becomes part of your DNA once you start living and breathing your job as well, because it is actually making a lot of difference in your life, even personally.
Yes.
It impacts your personal life as well. So there is definitely an area where your professional life is also linked to your personal life, and you have to balance it out. and make
Yes.
sure that you're putting your full interest, full energy in whatever you are doing, and your dreams will definitely come true. So
Yes, no, I agree. I think you have to put your full energy when you're working, and you have to put your full energy when you're with your family, when you're traveling. I think it's just to be able to do that is a privilege. And then when you are doing that, you're present. You're present in whatever that you're doing, and you don't feel like you're missing out in either way.
true, true. Well, Elif, we wish you a great success at Item by Item platform, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories on Dynamic Divas, where we celebrate women in technology and the incredible impact they make. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.